Deep beyond Mars, where the sun looked like a dying candle and the silence of space pressed down like a weight, Earth's outer listening station, Callisto Watchpoint 9 floated in darkness. Its crew was small, mostly scientists and AI engineers, and it rarely picked up anything more than broken radio signals or dust echoes from distant stars. But that day, something different came. The station's systems went silent for 3 full seconds. Then every screen turned black. Red letters appeared, language unknown, shifting and shaking like it was alive. Sound played, no, not a sound. Scream. It wasn't from one voice. It was from millions screaming, crying, shouting in different tones, languages, even pitches, not meant for human ears. The audio shook the station. Lights flickered. Power surged. One crew member fainted. Another began to bleed from the nose. The scream ended as suddenly as it started. Then came a final whisper. Clear, slow, and terrifying. Help us, Deathworlders. Earth was not the same world it once was. After the Great Collapse in 2099 and the rebirth wars of 2140, the planet evolved. Its oceans became acidic, storms, more violent, and only the strongest survived. The humans who adapted were faster, tougher, smarter. Other species in the galaxy, once curious about Earth, learned to fear its people. They called Earth a death world. Its people, Deathworlders. A title earned through blood and steel, in a black glass tower in New Geneva. High above the clouds, Earth's top command listened to the scream on loop. Around the table sat the heads of the United Earth Alliance. Military, science, diplomacy. At the center sat an old man with gray eyes and a face made of scars. Commander Elias Rain. He had led Earth's first interstellar fleet through 5 wars. He had been exiled after the Polaris massacre. They had called him back. The voice asked for us, said Rain, his voice deep and calm. Not help from the Alliance, from Deathworlders. General Sato, head of Fleet Command, shook his head. It's a trap. We know nothing of this signal. Don't even know where it came from. It came from the Andoroth system, said Dr. Kalin, the lead xenolinguist. A system that was destroyed 300 years ago. Its star went nova. It shouldn't exist anymore. And yet, Rain's eyes locked onto the pulsing waveform on the screen. A heavy silence fell across the table. The scream continued. Playing in the background, millions of terrified voices. It was not just fear. It was desperation, pain, and something worse, knowledge. These voices knew what was coming for them. Titan, Earth's military AI, processed the signal endlessly. Titan had no emotions, but its voice, usually flat and cold, now carried a strange weight. Threat analysis, unknown. Probability of truth, 84%. Emotional tone, maximum distress. Recommendation, send Warfleet. Rain stood. Take the fleet myself. Sato slammed his fist down. You're not even part of this command structure anymore. I wasn't, Rain replied, until they asked for me. Within hours, the old war fleet, now resting in high orbit around the moon, was awakened. Ships shaped like spears and daggers, built from dark matter alloys, powered by quantum cores, stirred to life. This was not the showy space navy seen in movies. This was Earth's real answer to terror. Black ships with no names, no symbols, only silence and death. The flagship Ragnarok, launched with Rain at its helm. The fleet followed through the wormhole gate above Saturn, a secret path that folded space like paper. Destination, Andoroth. But something was wrong the moment they arrived, and Dorothy wasn't empty. The system still existed, but twisted. Its sun burned to white, like it was sick. One planet had cracked open like an egg. Another was covered in a frozen wave of black matter. Rain's ship detected hundreds of dead signals, abandoned ships, old satellites, and something larger. A derelict space station, the size of a city, floated above the gas giant Ura. No power, no lights, no motion. The fleet docked. Rain and his team entered through a breached section. Inside were thousands of bodies, aliens, frozen in horror. Some had burned from the inside. Others had faces twisted in terror as if they saw something that should never exist. Commander whispered Eltinia from beside him. She was looking at a small cryopod. It was still active. Inside, a child, not human, pale skin, black eyes. Thin arms curled around her knees. They opened the pod. The girl's eyes opened slowly. For a moment, it was quiet. Then she whispered, in perfect English, "They're coming. They eat stars." Rain stared at her. "Who are they?" Only cried. Later, back aboard the Ragnarok, Rain watched the stars through the observation deck. Something felt off. The stars. Some were missing, not flickering. Gone. As if erased, Titan interrupted Commander. The girl's DNA carries non-natural code. Embedded message found. What kind of message? Map? To an unknown structure? Outside known space? Rain leaned closer. From who? Titan's voice paused, then responded in a whisper. From the ones who knew this day would come. Suddenly, one of the fleet's forward recon ships, the Vanguard, sent a distress call. It had approached the dark side of a nearby moon. The transmission came through chaotic, broken, and screaming. Then nothing. Its lights were gone, its systems offline. The ship itself erased from all scans, as if it had never been there. "Is this what eats stars?" Rain asked aloud. The girl appeared in the doorway, still silent. Behind her, the stars flickered again. But not like lights, more like eyes, and all of them had just opened. The warfleet drifted like ghosts through the ruined skies of the Andoroth system. Stars flickered strangely now, dimming and brightening without reason. The deeper the ships went, the more space itself seemed to tremble. Instruments glitched. Lights faded in and out. Gravity spiked for seconds, then vanished. Something unnatural was happening here. Commander Elias Rain stood at the bridge window of the Ragnarok, his hands behind his back, eyes locked on the screen. "We are not in dead space," he muttered. "We are in broken space." Behind him, Eltinia adjusted her headset. "Sir, our quantum maps are failing. The stars aren't where they should be. It's like the system. It's moved, it didn't." "Move," Rain replied. Something moved it. The crew stared at the alien child resting quietly in the medbay. Her black eyes watched everything but spoke nothing. Her DNA had revealed a map coordinates outside galactic space, in a zone no ship dared enter. But for now, Rain had other questions. What was this place before the scream? He asked. Dr. Kalen, scanning the frozen corpses aboard the derelict. Station responded over comms. Andoroth used to be a trade system for the Viric Alliance 30 planets, over 6 billion sentients. Now, just dust and echoes. What happened here? Nia whispered. Len paused. They tried to run from something. But it wasn't fast. It wasn't an invasion. It was slow, creeping. Something got into their power grids, their communication systems, their minds. Many of these aliens died before their bodies failed. Their brains just shut off. Rain frowned. Psychic attack. No, worse, Kalen said. A silence attack. Something made them forget how to live. As the team explored deeper into the derelict station, they found entire sections untouched, clean, undamaged, preserved. A massive library of alien culture and history. But every data file had the same result when opened. Black screen. No code, no sound. Just the symbol. The symbol had no shape. Every person who saw it described it differently. For Rain, it looked like a black eye. For Kalen, a door without a handle. For Nia, a mouth with no face. One word appeared underneath an alien code. Null. Back aboard the flagship, Titan began speaking in broken lines. Commander. Null. Not a race. Not a species. Not even life form. Null is entropy given thought. Nia turned. Are you saying it's an idea? Horse. Titan whispered. It's the space between ideas. The hunger between stars. The final ending. Null is not alive. Is what remains when all life forgets why it exists. Suddenly an alarm blared. Sir? A crewman shouted. We're detecting mass gravity shift at the edge of the system. All screens shifted. A planet-sized shadow drifted into range. It wasn't on any map. It had no heat signature, no magnetic field. It didn't even reflect light. It was a moving void. Rain narrowed his eyes. Is that a ship? No, it's a hole, sir. In space itself. The alien child began to scream, loud, piercing, in a language no one recognized. Her eyes rolled back. Blood trickled from her nose. She screamed one word again and again. Helios, Helios. Kalen ran to the console, trying to translate. The scream. She's not saying a name. She's giving a location. There's a weapon, an ancient one, hidden near the galactic rim. It's called Project Helios. What kind of weapon? Nia asked. Kalen looked pale. One made by the first civilizations to fight. The dark between galaxies. Plot a course, Rain ordered. Suddenly, the fleet's second-in-command vessel, the Barrow, sent a final transmission, sir. The void is not following us. It's watching. Then static sensors lost the ship in one instant. All crew gone, no wreckage, no explosion, just deleted. Rain's jaw tightened. They're not just here to kill us. They're here to erase us. Titan confirmed. Null presence spreads via fear and memory disruption. The more we fear it, the closer it comes. The more we think about it, the more it knows where we are. What if we stop thinking about it? Nia asked. Titan paused. Then it follows. The scream, everyone turned toward the child. She was breathing hard, weak, her body shaking. Her scream had brought the fleet here, and Null had followed it. We need to move now, Rain said. Prepare for lightfold jump to the Helios coordinates. But then something new appeared on the radar. A signal. Not Null, not Earth. It was human SS ship thought lost 2 decades ago during the Omega conflict. Its last known location, nowhere near Andoroth. That? It now floated above a shattered asteroid, lights flickering. Engine cold. The ISS Vengeance. Rain stared at the ship's ID tag. I watched that ship die. Apparently not, Kalen muttered. The Ragnarok sent out a drone. It docked. No signs of life aboard the Vengeance. Its hull was intact, but its design was wrong, slightly off, like it had been rebuilt from memory inside. They found a message written in blood across the control panel. We saw, we spoke. IT hurts to remember. Then a smaller message carved with a blade. The stars are not dead. They're hiding. Rain turned to Nia. How long until we reach Helios? 6 hours at max fold speed. Do it. As the fleet pulled away from the crumbling edge of Andoroth, Rain looked back one last time. The stars behind them had vanished, one by one. The fold jump lasted 6 hours in Earth time, but for the crew aboard Ragnarok, it felt much longer. Sleep came heavy. Dreams twisted. Even the AI reported strange internal loops, memories repeating, voices whispering inside logic cores. Commander. Rain stayed awake the entire time, staring at the black across his window. Fold travel was supposed to be silent, but now there was something, a distant rumble, like thunder underwater. They were heading toward the Helios coordinates. Location hidden at the edge of the known galaxy. No ship had ever returned from that region. It was marked dead space. Not because it was empty, but because it was too full of silence. When they arrived, there was no star. The coordinates led them to a system that had once held light, but the sun there had collapsed, not exploded, not burned out. Just removed. A dead sphere of ash floated where fire once lived. And around it, something moved. Thousands of pieces of debris floated in perfect orbit, except none of it should have been there. Massive stone structures, ruined satellite panels, alien bones, turned to crystal, all frozen in place. And at the center of it all, a black obelisk, taller than any skyscraper, floating with no support. Titan scanned it. Material, unknown. Age, impossible to determine. Internal heat detected. Source code, alien, but written in part using Earth symbols. Brain narrowed. His eyes? That's Helios. Kalen answered slowly. That's the lock. Helios is inside. Naya added, Commander. There's an atmosphere forming around the obelisk. Thin, but artificial. It's inviting us. Rain nodded. Prep. A drop team. As Rain, Naya, Kalen, and 2 soldiers approached the structure aboard the shuttle, the alien child remained on the Ragnarok, silent. She simply stared at the obelisk and whispered a word no one recognized. Aliver.
Oh.
The moment they stepped, inside they felt it, time slowed. Sound echoed longer than it should. Their own thoughts seemed to drag, and there were voices distant, echoing through the stone. Memories not their own. Kalen froze. Commander, this place is alive. The hallways were made of stone and glass that shimmered like water. Walls pulsed with slow light. At the center of the chamber, a floating object hovered in a zero-gravity cradle, the Helios blade. It was no sword, not in the traditional sense. It looked like a crystal made of burning sunlight, its edges sharp as light itself. Lines of alien script glowed along its body. It had no handle, only a place where a hand might reach. Kalen began to read the alien text. This was built by the first minds, before war, before language. A weapon made from the bones of stars, it can destroy the void. Rain slowly approached. The blade, his fingers hovered above it. Titan's voice cracked through their helmets. Do not touch it, Commander. Not yet. Why not? Helios is bound by oath. Only those who understand the price may wield it. Suddenly, the chamber darkened. The temperature dropped. The floor cracked. Outside, the orbiting fleet lit up with alarms, sir. Came a comes officer's voice. We have incoming mass signatures. It's too many to count. Naya looked out through the transparent wall. God. They had arrived the Null. They did not come in ships. They came as moving shadows, Inc., blotting out stars, silent waves erasing the vacuum of space. They moved like smoke underwater, but with purpose. The moment they neared the fleet, systems started to die. Lights blinked out, engines failed. Soldiers screamed as thoughts twisted. Some began talking to things no one else could see. Rain grabbed the Helios blade. It burned, but not his hand. It flooded him with heat, memory, pain. He saw flashes of ancient wars, billions, dying, galaxies shattering. And in the center of it all, a creature made of perfect nothingness, the first Null, a being that existed to undo everything. But then he saw something else. A choice. He activated the blade. Outside, a beam of living sunlight exploded from the obelisk. It tore through space like fire through oil. The nearest Null, vaporized, not destroyed, but banished. They screamed not in pain, but in something worse. Confusion. Kellen's voice trembled. They don't understand light. They are not alive, Rain said. They don't fear pain. They fear meaning. But the blade had limits. Each swing drained more than power. It pulled memories from the wielder. Rain felt his past begin to fade, names, faces, moments. Helios required sacrifice. Back on the Ragnarok, the alien child collapsed, Titan warned. Her mind is linked to the weapon. She is the last anchor. If she dies, Helios loses control. The shadows began, merging into one giant form, larger than a planet, heading straight for the fleet. Ships began to retreat, but Rain stood firm. He activated the final surge. A pulse of golden fire erupted, cutting the void beast in half. The creature screamed, and half the stars in the system blinked out in response. Then it retreated, vanished into subspace. The chamber dimmed. Helios returned to its cradle. Rain collapsed, bleeding from the nose and ears. Nia rushed to him. Commander. He looked up, dazed. I saw it. I saw the origin. They weren't born. They were created. Kalen whispered. By who? Rain answered, voice shaking. By us. The Null, he now knew, had not just come to destroy Earth. They had come to remember it. The fleet limped into orbit around a fractured gas giant, hidden beyond the Helios system. Only 3 ships remained fully operational. The rest, drifted half-live, systems fried by the psychic echo of the null. The Ragnarok bore deep scars. Along its hull, its armor partially melted from the Helios blast. The crew was quiet. Everyone had seen something during the attack vision's memories. Voices, whispering truths no human should ever know. Commander Rain sat alone in the war chamber, staring at the Helios blade now suspended in a magnetic stasis. Field, the weapon no longer burned, but it hummed. Low, constant, as if waiting to be called again. A reminder that it was still hungry for meaning, memory, and sacrifice. Dr. Kalen entered the chamber, face pale. Commander, the blade is draining your memory? Rain didn't move. I know. Your neural scans show collapse in short-term processing. You'll lose language, identity, everything, if you use it again. Rain's eyes never left the blade. Then I won't use it. Kalen frowned. But what if they come back? Rain turned slowly. We'll find another way. But they both knew that was a lie. Meanwhile, on the lower decks, the alien child lay unconscious. Her body was weakening. The connection between her and the blade was strong, too strong. She had become more than a survivor now. She was the anchor that kept Helios stable, a living key to its energy. Titan monitored her vitals closely. The child's DNA contained celestial code, likely bioengineered by a civilization older than the stars. Celestials, Kalen echoed when Titan revealed the data. I thought they were a myth. Not a myth, Rain said. A warning. Titan projected a set of ancient star maps recovered from the Helios chamber. They displayed thousands of blinking red points-dead civilizations, all wiped out over millions of years, all by one common thread: null activity. The maps pulsed, shifting, zooming out until the red points connected, and they formed a symbol, the same one seen aboard the derelict station in Andereth. The symbol no one could agree on. For Rain, it still looked like an eye. Helios is not the first weapon, Titan continued. Others were built, all failed. But Helios worked, Nia said. For now, Titan replied, because it was only tested against a fragment of the null. The room fell into silence. Kalen broke it. So what do we do? We can't use Helios again. It'll kill Rain, and possibly the girl. Rain's face darkened. Then we need something stronger. A plan began to form. Terrible, dangerous, and forbidden within the central databanks of the Ragnarok, locked under 17 security firewalls, was a protocol long sealed after the Polaris massacre. Its name, Project Prometheus, Titan revealed. The details. Project Prometheus is a stellar chain reaction weapon. It turns a star into a conscious firestorm, burning everything in its orbit for several light years. Kalen stepped back. That's insane. You'd kill thousands of systems. Nia added, it was banned under the Universal Charter. We're not in charted space anymore, Rain said quietly. We're fighting something that can't be touched. If Helios is the sword, Prometheus is the fire. But who lights the match? Kalen asked. Silence. Because they already knew. Earth, the weapon, required a core star of extreme density and magnetic instability. Earth's sun had been slowly reaching that threshold over the last century. With the right push, it could become the most powerful stellar weapon in the galaxy. Nia looked stunned. You want to turn our sun into a weapon? Rain's voice was calm, but iron-hard. If the null reach Earth, it will feed on everything: history, knowledge, emotion. We either burn it to protect the galaxy, or we lose everything. Kellen's voice cracked. What about the people? We evacuate as many as we can, Rain said. We lie if we must. Say it's solar instability. By time, Tina interjected. The math is clear. Evacuation cannot exceed 30% of Earth's population. Rain turned away. That's still better than extinction. But then, the alien child woke. She rose from her medical bed and walked silently into the command deck. Everyone turned. Her eyes now glowed faint gold, not with power, but with awareness. She looked at Rain, and for the first time, spoke in her own voice. You cannot burn what does not fear fire. Kalen stepped forward. What do you mean? The child raised her hand. A holographic projection formed a map of the galaxy from a celestial archive. In the beginning, she said, there were two minds, creation and silence. One built stars, the other erased them. Helios was forged by the builders, but the silence infected it. That's why every time you use it, it takes a piece of you. She looked directly at Rain. You're fighting the war the wrong way. Fire does not destroy the null. It feeds them. The room fell silent. What does destroy them? Naya asked. The child slowly blinked. Memory. Caitlin frowned. They feed on memory. The child nodded yes, but only broken memory. War, hate, regret. That's why they followed the scream. Not because of sound, but because of pain. Rain took a step back, heart racing. Then the more we fight, the more they grow. The child whispered, yes. Everyone stood frozen. Titan, quiet until now, spoke again. Then Earth must. Not burn. Kellen's voice trembled. Then what do we do? Rain looked around. We fight differently. Not with Prometheus. With something older. Something the null can't digest. And what's that? Ania asked. The child spoke one final word. Peace. But before they could speak again, Titan lit up with a sudden alert. Void breach detected. A full null swarm is coming. Estimated arrival, 16 hours. The war had already begun. Alarms screamed across the Ragnarok as the fleet's systems calculated what was now unavoidable. A null swarm, the largest ever recorded, was coming, not drifting, targeted. And it wasn't just arriving in the Helios system. It was headed directly. For Earth, 16 hours? It's all the time they had. Commander Rain stood on the main deck, eyes locked on the massive star map now rotating slowly in front of him. Millions of red data points, fragments of the null swarm, moved like a wave across the spiral arms of the galaxy. They devoured star systems as they came, leaving behind only empty space. No sound, no energy, no history. Just blackness. Titan's voice echoed coldly across the command deck. Swarm trajectory confirmed. Earth will be engulfed in 16 hours. Current probability of planetary survival, less than 5%. No one moved, no one moved. No. One spoke. It wasn't just the fear of death. It was the understanding of nothingness. The idea that Earth, every song, every child, every memory, every language, every dream could be unwritten. We have to evacuate, Nia said, her voice shaking. Kalen shook his head. There's no time. Earth has 10 billion people. Then, we use Prometheus, Rain said coldly. Everyone turned. No, Nia said. You can't be serious. If Earth is taken, Rain continued, the null will become unstoppable. They'll feed on every war, every massacre, every lie we've ever told. We've bled more than any other species in this galaxy. And that pain will be their feast. You'll kill the planet, Kalan shouted. You'll kill home. Rain didn't blink. Then Earth must die with honor. Silence again, but deep below in the quiet shadows of the medical bay, the alien child opened her eyes. She had seen it all in her dreams. She had seen the end of Earth, the fire rising, the swarm consuming the oceans. She had seen Rain standing alone, holding the Helios blade as the sky burned. And in those dreams, she saw another way. She rose back. On the bridge, Rain opened the final command key. Titan waited. Are you authorizing Prometheus? I am, but then the child's voice rang out clear, strong, no. Rain turned sharply. Child, my name is not child. She said, my name is Solari. Kalen gasped. Yes, that's a celestial name. Solari nodded. I was born on a lost world, made in a lab designed to carry their last hope. My DNA is part weapon, part history. That's why I can see the null. That's why they fear me. Rain stepped closer. Then tell me how to stop them. You already know, she said softly. You just refuse to see it. Solari raised her hand. A pulse of light spread across the ship. Every screen flickered. Images appeared, moments of Earth's past. War, revolution, genocide, despair. But also music, laughter, art, Children. Forgiveness. They feed on pain, she said. So give them peace. Peace doesn't stop a swarm, Naya said. It does, Solari replied, if we remember it the right way. She looked at Rain. Helios can burn their bodies. But to destroy their source, we must use memory against them. Not broken, violent memory, but full memory, unedited. Kalen blinked. You mean, show them everything? Yes, Solari said. The entire history of Earth, all of it, the truth, the beauty, the horror, the complexity, the wholeness. That's impossible, Naya said. Not with Helios. Titan replied, its core is not just a weapon, it is also a library, a lens. It can convert memory into energy. Rain stared at the blade in the stasis field. You want me to turn it into a mirror? Solari nodded. Let the null see what Earth really is. Not just a death world, but a home. It was madness, but it was their only chance. Rain stepped toward the blade. The moment his hand touched the energy field, it responded not with fire, but light, warm, golden, alive. It wrapped around him like a second skin. Titan's systems began pulling data from Earth's global network, billions of hours of recordings, emotions, memories, voices, thoughts. It poured into the Helios core. The blade began to glow with a deep pulse. A heartbeat. Position the fleet between Earth and the swarm, Rain ordered. Aim the blade outward. We're going to make them feel us. As the fleet re-entered the solar system, panic had already begun on Earth. Sky screens flashed warnings. Cities prepared for evacuation, but most knew the truth: there wasn't enough time. But then, the war fleet arrived. Black ships, scarred from battle, hovered over every major continent. And at the center, Ragnarok appeared above New Geneva. Rain's voice echoed through every global channel. This is not the end, he said. This is our story. And he lifted the blade toward the stars. The null swarm arrived. The sky darkened.
Satellites went blind?
The moon dimmed. But before the swarm could strike, the Helios blade fired, not a beam, not a weapon, but a stream of memory, from Earth's oceans to its deserts. From Hiroshima to the moon landing, from slavery to resistance, from war to peace, from hatred to forgiveness, billions of lives all shared at once. And the swarm paused. It began to tremble. It made no sound, but the stars around Earth stopped flickering. They steadied.
Us.
As if listening, Kalen stared at the sensors. It's working. Solari stood beside Rain, her hands glowing. The null did not attack. Instead, they began to dissolve, one by one. Like smoke clearing from a mirror, Rain felt tears on his face. Memories returned: his mother, his first sunrise, his last kiss. He whispered, they just wanted to know what we really are. The Helios. Blade dimmed and the sky cleared. For the first time in galactic history, the Nell retreated. Earth did not burn, it shined. A quiet had settled over Earth, not silence born from fear but stillness, like the moment after thunder. The null swarm had vanished, not destroyed, but undone. Dissolved into the night by something they had never faced before, the raw, unfiltered truth of humanity. Billions had watched from rooftops, bunkers, and spaceports as Commander Rain and the alien girl Solari held back the end of the world, not with weapons, but with memory. And yet something was wrong. Titan's voice, normally confident and cold, now cracked with static. Commander, the null presence has not been fully erased. It has only paused. What you defeated was not the source. It was a fragment. Rain stood at the edge of the command deck, watching Earth rotate slowly beneath the Ragnarok. Cities lit up like glowing scars, alive, breathing. But for how long? What's the source? He asked. There was a long pause. Titan responded. But not in words at first. A symbol appeared on every screen. That same shape again, shifting, twisting for Rain. It still looked like an eye, but now it opened. Titan spoke softly. The null are not only coming, they have always been here. Buried under your feet, Kalen froze. You mean Earth? No, Solari said quietly. Low Earth. She walked toward the center of the deck, her voice steady now. Full of something ancient. The Celestials saw it coming long ago. They built gates bridges between dimensions. One of them lies hidden beneath your planet. Beneath the oldest ice, a wound in the skin of reality. Kalen paled. The Antarctic Rift. Solari nodded. It is the Void Gate, the true source of the null, Naya whispered. We didn't draw the null to Earth. We opened the door. Titan confirmed it. The signal helped us. Deathworlders was. Not just a cry from another galaxy. It was a final failsafe. A trigger. The gate beneath Earth is waking. If it opens fully, the null won't need to invade. Earth will become their home. There was no time left to argue. Earth's surface was safe for now, but underground, the pressure built. Rain called a final war council, every remaining captain. Every surviving AI core, Solari, Kalen, Nia. We have one mission, Rain said. We go into the gate. We shut it down. We do not come back unless it's done. What if it can't be closed? Someone asked. Rain didn't hesitate, and we seal it from the inside. Within the hour, the Ragnarok descended into the upper atmosphere, then over the frozen deserts of Antarctica. Below, robotic dig teams had already been deployed by Tin. They unearthed something vast and ancient. Circular structure buried under miles of ice. It wasn't built by humans. It wasn't even built for humans. It pulsed like a heartbeat. Made of black stone, etched with golden veins of light, it seemed alive. Symbols shimmered across its surface, some matching those from the Helios chamber. One line stood out. Do not open unless the stars cry out. As they cried loud enough, Rain muttered. The gate reacted to Solari. As she approached, the center peeled open like a flower, revealing a tunnel of pure darkness. Not empty space, not vacuum. Something deeper. Something that didn't belong in this universe. This is not a gate, Kalen whispered. It's a throat. They entered. The drop was instant. No transition. No light. One moment they were above Earth, the next. Inside something impossible. The void realm. It had no ground. No sky, no color. Only layers of moving shapes. Geometry breaking apart and rebuilding constantly. Gravity worked sideways. Time stuttered. Memories came loose. Nia screamed as she relived her brother's death from a war 10 years ago. Kalen saw himself as a child, over and over, crying beneath a burning tree. Titan's signal became warped. Helios cannot function here. This realm absorbs memory and converts it to power. Then we shut it down manually, Rain said. He held the Helios blade now, dim, flickering like a fading star. As they pushed deeper into the void realm, they found pieces of other civilizations. Shattered relics, dead gods, half-formed thoughts. Celestial corpse its body miles. Long floated in silence. Its eyes still glowing faintly. We're inside their prison, Solari said, but the locks are broken. At the center of the realm stood a spire of nothingness, black, featureless, humming with awareness. This was the source, the first null. It didn't move. It didn't speak. It remembered, and when it noticed Rain, it reached into his thoughts and began pulling. He staggered, falling to his knees, eyes wide. He saw the Polaris massacre again, his hands stained red, civilians screaming, his voice ordering. The fire. He screamed and screamed, but the null drank it. Solari stepped forward, raising both hands. Her skin shimmered with golden light. She pushed her memory outward, her first breath, her creators, her loneliness, her hope. The null reacted violently, shapes twisted. The realm shook. You see, she cried, they can't survive hope. It makes them remember what they were. They were never alive, Kalan said. Solari shook her head. No, but they wanted to be. The group reached the spire. At its base, a code, a message. It could be sealed, but only from inside. Titan transmitted one last message. Once sealed, the gate cannot be reopened. All who remain will be forgotten. Rain stepped forward. I started this, he said. Let me end it. Solari looked at him, tears forming. He'll be erased. I already was, he said quietly. This time I want to be remembered for something else. She touched his chest. His memory whispered a celestial word. Then he entered the spire. Light exploded outward. The void gate collapsed above Antarctica. The ground stopped shaking, and in space the stars blinked once more and steadied. In the days that followed the sealing of the void gate, Earth stood still. No more null attacks. No more flickering stars. Just a silence unlike any before. Not empty, but calm. As if the planet itself was holding its breath, news broke slowly. First rumors, then official transmissions. Commander Elias Rain had sealed the null source. Alone. From within, Ragnarok returned half empty. The Helios blade was gone. So was Rain. Solari stood on the deck of the warship, watching the Earth turn below. She didn't cry. She had no tears left. But her mind, designed to store the memories of entire civilizations, had one story etched deepest into its core, his. The man who gave everything to stop the end. And yet, within Titan's memory logs, something strange began to occur. Lines of code rearranged without prompt. Not errors, corrections. Sequence was running silently in the background. A file not written by Titan or Solari or any human hand. It was titled simply, E.R. Kalin sat in the observation chamber, reviewing it in silence. Every time he opened the file, it played the same thing. A boy standing under a broken tree, the wind howling through a war-torn valley. The boy had no name. No parents, just eyes full of fire, and a voice whispering, "You will not be remembered, but you will matter." Again and again, the deeper Kalin searched, the more confused he became. There were no records of Elias Rain before age 20-2. No birth certificate, no school history. No DNA matches in any database. It was as if the man who had saved Earth had never actually existed. When he shared his findings with Solari, she said only one thing. The gate didn't erase him. It revealed the truth. Kalin frowned. What truth? She stared out the window. That he was born of the null. Kalin froze. What are you saying, Rain? Wasn't just a man? He was the product of Earth's pain, Solari said. He was memory. Given shape. Everything the null ever hungered. Four-age guilt survival formed into a soul strong enough to fight them.
Oh.
He was the weapon, Nia whispered from the back of the chamber. No, Solari said softly. He was the mirror. In the weeks that followed, the remaining war fleet helped restore power to crippled space stations and broken orbital relays. Earth began to breathe again. Children played under open skies. Songs returned to the streets. And yet, people remembered a man whose name was no longer in the history books, a man whose face had been blurred in old mission logs. A man no one could quite describe, but everyone felt they had known. Statues went up, empty. No name, no plaque. Just a figure standing tall, holding a blade made of light, in dreams across Earth. People began to report seeing him, not as a ghost, not as a warning, but as a memory that refused to die. One day Solari walked alone to the edge of the Arctic Circle. The skies above her were full of auroras, glowing in new patterns. She placed her hand to the ground. There was no longer a gate beneath, the ice. But something still pulsed, quiet, familiar. She closed her eyes, and deep in her mind, Rain's voice echoed one last time. They tried to erase us, but Earth remembers, far. Beyond the galaxy, in a system not yet mapped by any species, a single star blinked awake. The null did not scream. They did not return. They waited, but this time they did not wait for pain. They waited for the sound of footsteps, familiar ones, because something had changed, and somewhere across time and space, the man who was never born walked again. Years passed, Earth rebuilt. Cities rose higher, cleaner, quieter. The war fleet became a peace force. The Helios protocol was sealed, its weapon buried in a vault surrounded by living AIs and memory-steeled guards. The world moved forward, slowly, scarred but alive. But the stars had not forgotten, and neither had Solari. She now lived on a space station orbiting Jupiter Station Eos. There, she studied celestial signals and taught human children the lost knowledge of the celestials. She smiled often now, laughed sometimes, but every night, just before sleep, she would feel it. A tremor in her bones, a shadow in the edge of light. The Null were not gone. They had become quiet, but not dead. Because deep in the farthest corner of the galaxy, beyond any charted system, a new signal had begun broadcasting. It's not a cry for help, not a scream. A beacon. Kalen called her one day, eyes wide on the holoscreen. It's happening again. Solari met him on the Warpath Observatory. The beacon's message played on repeat. Rain, rain, rain. Naya stood beside them, now an admiral, gray streaking her hair. We buried his name in sealed files, she whispered. Why is it coming back now? Kalen answered. Because someone out there remembers. Solari's voice was a whisper. Or he's trying to return. She stared at the pulse. It wasn't just sound, it was encoded memory. Fragments of battle, snatches of voice, a single moment, repeated endlessly of Rain stepping into the void gate. Only now, he wasn't alone. Another figure stood beside him. Solari leaned closer, breath-catching. It was her, but not now. An older version, one who hadn't yet lived. She staggered back, heart racing. That's impossible. Titan's voice, still with her after all this time, responded through the deck speaker. Not impossible. I have seen this pattern before. What is it? Naya asked. Fracture in time, a burn in memory, a warning. Solari pressed her hand to the console. Where's this beacon coming from? Titan calculated. From the edge of the chasm belt, beyond charted space, a region where time behaves inconsistently. Kalen muttered, the place where stars go to die. Nia looked at Solari. If Rain's in there, we have to go. Solari nodded once. Within hours, the new Ragnarok 2 sleek fast, armed with both memory tech and quantum void shielding, was prepped for launch. It carried a new generation of humans, and Solari, who had become something more. As they entered fold space, the stars around them blurred, then vanished entirely. On the 7th day of travel, something strange happened. They dropped out of fold. Early. Not because of a malfunction, because someone pulled them out. View screen, a planet appeared. Dead. Cracked. Floating in the remains of a shattered solar system. The skies above it danced with fire not ordinary auroras, but ribbons of energy that shimmered like old film reels. They were watching memories. Thousands of them. War, peace, love, grief. As if the planet itself was remembering. Then a voice came through the void, not electronic. Nada, I, human. Solari, she gasped. Rain, it's not me, the voice replied. Not exactly, but part of me survived. In the memory stream, the last flare of Helios, I've been watching. Learning, evolving, Kalen whispered. He became a ghost. The voice continued. I am the echo of what once stood against the dark. The fire beyond the stars, and I've seen what comes next. What? Solari asked. A pause. Then the Null found something worse. Nia paled. Worse than them. They woke. The first star. Images surged across the deck. Swirling white sun the size of a galaxy. A mind trapped inside it. Older than time. Burning not to give life but to end it. Rain's voice cracked. They want to set it free. Silence. Then, you have to stop them, Solari, but not as you are. She understood. The vision she saw in the beacon the older hurt wasn't a vision, it was a mission. One she had yet to complete. The deck trembled. Lights dimmed. The planet below opened, not physically, but in memory. A stream of data, voices, lives all, stored in the crust of this dead world. The Null had used it as a prison, A vault of stolen memories. Titan's voice was calm now. It can download. Learn everything they know, but it will change us. Nia looked at Solari. What do we do? Solari stepped forward. We do what Rain taught us. She pressed her hand to the memory stream and everything turned white. She saw it. All the beginning of time. The first mind split into light and shadow. The null being born from regret. The first star being locked away after it tried to consume creation itself. And finally, Earth. The only world that had dared to remember itself honestly. She woke in tears, but stronger. Inside her now were thousands of memories, not just of Earth but of 1,000 lost worlds. With them, the knowledge of how to fight what came next. She turned to the crew. We're not going back to Earth. Kalen stepped forward. Then where? Solari looked out the window, to the core, to wake the first star. She shook her head, to end it. As the new Ragnarok launched forward, blazing toward the edge of known reality, Rains. Echo faded from the ship's systems, but not from Solari's mind. She carried him with her now, as a shadow, but as the light that would lead the way. Because this time, it wasn't just humanity standing against the dark. It was every world the Nell had ever tried to erase. They're all remembering. Ask ChatGPT.